You wake up when your body is ready. No alarm. No clock. No blinking light demanding 5 more minutes. For most of human history, this wasn't a luxury. It was simply how sleep worked. For roughly 300,000 years, humans fell asleep without mattresses, without blankets, without a single ticking second hand. And somehow they slept better than you do tonight. That sounds impossible, doesn't it? Today, over a third of adults report chronic sleep problems. Insomnia, racing thoughts at 2 a.m., waking up more tired than when you lay down. We have memory foam, blackout curtains, white noise machines, and melatonin gummies lined up like soldiers on a nightstand. And still, sleep eludes us. So what did ancient humans actually do differently? And why does it matter for the exhausted person you are right now? Let's start with the obvious question. If there were no beds, where did people actually sleep? The answer is mostly on the ground and mostly together. Early humans built simple sleeping nests out of grass, leaves, and soft plant material, often laid over a shallow scooped-out hollow in the earth. Archaeologists working at Sibudu Cave in South Africa, led by researcher Lynn Wadley, uncovered bedding dating back roughly 77,000 years, made of layered sedge and rush plants. That's not guesswork. That's physical, dated, excavated evidence of what people were lying down on before humans ever left Africa. But comfort wasn't the main problem ancient humans were solving for. Safety was. Sleeping in the open, on the ground, in a world with lions, hyenas, and rival groups, is dangerous. So early humans didn't sleep alone, and they usually didn't sleep in total darkness either. They slept in groups, often clustered around a low fire, with someone effectively always semi-aware. Anthropologist Carol Worthman, who spent years studying sleep across small-scale traditional societies, found that this kind of communal, fire-lit sleeping environment shaped not just where people slept, but how lightly. Here's the part that surprises most people. Ancient humans didn't necessarily sleep in one solid, unbroken block the way modern sleep guides tell you that you should. In 2001, historian A. Roger Ekirch published research showing that in pre-industrial Europe, it was completely normal to sleep in 2 segments. People called them first sleep and second sleep. You doze off a couple of hours after dark, wake naturally in the middle of the night for an hour or so, maybe tend the fire, talk quietly, pray, or just lie awake thinking, and then drift into a second sleep until dawn. That waking period wasn't insomnia. It wasn't a malfunction. It was expected. Ekirch found hundreds of historical references to it in diaries, court records, and literature, all treating it as completely unremarkable. So if you've ever woken up at 3 a.m., panicked that something is wrong with you, and reached for your phone to check the time, consider this. Your ancestors woke up too. They just didn't call it a problem. Now let's push further back, past medieval Europe into the deep past. Because the real question isn't just how ancient humans slept. It's why their sleep worked at all without any of the tools we think we need. In 2015, sleep researcher Jerome Siegel led a landmark study out of UCLA, monitoring the actual sleep patterns of 3 modern hunter-gatherer and forager horticulturalist groups living lifestyles closest to our ancestral past. The Hadza of Tanzania, the San of Namibia, and the Tsimane of Bolivia. These groups had no electricity, no glowing screens, no artificial light pollution. The findings challenged almost everything we assume about natural sleep. These groups didn't sleep the moment the sun went down. They stayed up for hours after sunset, talking around the fire, only falling asleep a few hours later. They slept roughly 6 to 7 hours a night, not the mythical 8+ we obsess over. And critically, they had almost no reported insomnia. Not a single word for it existed in some of these languages. What they did have was total darkness at night and total brightness during the day. Their bodies weren't confused about when day ended and night began. Ours often are. Let's reconstruct what a night actually looked like tens of thousands of years ago. The sun drops low. The sky shifts orange, then a deep, bruised blue. A small group settles near a fire that's already been burning for hours. It's light low and warm rather than sharp and white. Someone is still talking. A child is half asleep against an adult's side. There's no rush to get to bed, because there's no bed to get to, and no morning alarm dictating when rest needs to start. Eventually, one by one, People lie down on woven mats or bedding pressed into the earth, close enough to feel each other's warmth. The fire keeps most predators at bay. Someone always seems to stir at the smallest sound. Sleep isn't a locked door here. It's more like a tide, something you drift in and out of as the night moves. Here's the counterintuitive twist. Ancient humans, in many ways, had worse sleeping conditions than you. Harder ground, no temperature control, real predators, real danger. And yet, deep, restorative sleep still came to them, night after night, largely because their environment gave their brains an honest, unambiguous signal. It's dark, it's time to wind down. It's light, it's time to be alert. We flipped that signal upside down. We invented light we can carry in our pocket, glowing at full brightness at midnight. Researchers studying circadian rhythms, including work building on Siegel's findings, have pointed to exactly this. Artificial light exposure at night suppresses melatonin production and delays the body's natural signal to sleep, even when we're bone tired. So the problem was never that ancient humans had some biological advantage we've lost. The problem is that we've built an environment that actively fights against a system that worked for hundreds of thousands of years. Which brings us to you, lying in bed tonight, phone brightness still glowing against your face, wondering why sleep won't come. Your body isn't broken. It's still running the same ancient hardware. It still wants a dark, cooling environment. It still expects the day's bright light to fade into true darkness, not into blue-lit screens. It still might expect a moment of quiet wakefulness in the night, and instead you meet that moment with panic and a phone screen, which is the exact opposite of what your ancestors did around that dying fire. Maybe you don't need a better mattress. Maybe you don't need a new app promising to track your REM cycles. Maybe what you actually need is closer to what a Hadza forager already has. Real darkness, real daylight, and permission to stop treating a 3 a.m. wake-up as a crisis. You wake up when your body is ready. For your ancestors, that wasn't a mystery to be solved. It was simply how being human worked. Maybe it still can be.